I mean, I feel like we getting there. We got the signal. I don't think so.
Wait, there's a signal?
But yeah, she normally does the hard thing.
Oh!
So,
Very common.
But I can't see the signal.
no. Because you're supposed to be here, but you don't want to do this.
So you mean to tell me in our 8th show, we just discovered that I'm
no,
sitting in the wrong spot?
You have always opted to sit on the side.
That is true. Welcome you here on Guardian Radio 96.9. I'm Ronaldo, and I am exhausted because there is a lot going on, but I'm powering through.
Fair point. I'm Ricardo. I'm trying to figure out between the text line and the phone line, like why are we giving people so angry on a Saturday morning? There's so much to be hopeful about.
Saturday morning?
Yeah, like if you read some of these texts from the last show, I'm like, why are you so upset? But it's Saturday. Get some stew, get some sauce. Let's enjoy the sunshine.
I'm John Mark, and why is my internet down at home?
Okay, see, now that's something to be angry about.
See? Immediately within 10 seconds of you saying that, you found something to be angry about. Listen, this country, I feel like the world is in a heightened state of tension right now.
Yeah.
And everyone has things to be legitimately angry about. So I can't even fault them people. I be angry all the time.
But see, this is why it's important to tune into a show like this. We bring the brevity a little bit, give you something to look forward to, change the pace a bit.
Hopefully. I mean, what we should talk about, we ain't talking about. We are here to stick to sports.
Okay.
And we are only going to talk about sports.
Fair point. But if you want to join the conversation, go get. Conversation, you can call in. Telephone lines are open 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, or toll free at 242-300-5720. And the text line is also open. You could reach out at 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Join the conversation.
What's the lead this week? So, What's the lead is our segment where we talk about the lead story that happened throughout the week, whether it's local, whether it's international, but we like to start with a local focus here because that's what we do. Our feet are on the ground. This is the thing that we have the most level of expertise in, I would say.
Right.
And so whenever I think about Thanksgiving holiday, whenever I think about late November, early December, to me, sports tourism jumps off the page, pops directly into my mind. There's Battle for Atlantis. There's Bahamar Hoops. In December, you have, now in January, you have the Bahamas Bowl. And we know, earlier in this year, we had the World Relays returning.
Right.
And we know the Bahamas is this hub for sports tourism. We know that it happens across several different sports. We mentioned the main American sports like basketball, but you also have the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup is returning in 2025.
Championships.
Yes, we had the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup before. The CONCACAF Championships is returning in 2025. So there are all of these different sports. The rest of the world is aware of what the Bahamas has, and we do such a good job of hosting these parties because people keep coming back to the parties.
No, I keep saying it's the one thing we seem to do effortlessly is that sports tourism mix. I don't understand why we don't double down and make it like a wider part of the portfolio because we do it so well. This past week we had the Battle for Atlantis. I think Bahama Hoops is ongoing right now.
Yeah.
You see those kinds of competitions and you quickly realize not only that it's a good place to host it, but the interaction between the visitors and our general public is amazing.
What I wanted us to get into is, yes, there are these events, and not one-off events. There are ones that return, and we do have a few one-off events. What I want us to really dive deeper into is how do we bridge that gap between a thriving sports tourism industry and how it affects the people and affects our sports, the development of those sports locally. Because it's great to have college does great business for these resorts, fills up their room nights. The economy goes great for them during that time, that busy time period. But how do we bridge the gap between that and how does it impact what we have going on a day-to-day basis once these teams and once these programs leave?
John?
Oh, that's supposed to be me.
It's open-ended.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's different things. I feel like with Bahamar Hoops and Battle for Atlantis, they always have some off days, right? And one thing I always think about is the Mario Invitational, how they always used to invite, I don't know if they invite anymore, but you remember they used to invite the one local school to participate in that event. I'm not saying bring UB into these events,
All right.
but you have off days. So you could all of a sudden say, hey, why don't we use an off day and help promote and say, hey, UB will have their alumni game at Bahamar. UB will play against the team at Bahamar, which I think will help with fan interaction and the alumni and everything, because they'll be like, oh, we have a chance to play on an actual court that is used for the big time. And you know how it is. you're at Baja Mar, people are going to come and just show up because where the event's being held.
Right.
They'd rather go to Baja Mar than Kendall Isaacs. Some people think Kendall Isaacs may be the best stadium in the world, but I think if you get the local teams involved some way, somehow, even if you have a all-star game, but I know basketball season isn't going on, or try to get a high school game going on during that time, just bring in the local basketball community in a different way that we've never seen it before.
Right. And for me, it's always been the ability for us to kind of build in our growth and the development with it. So if you look at something like Baja Mar Hoops, or you look at Battle for Atlantis, what you have is a situation where these fan bases, they come in. So much things that you could do from a high school perspective to try and develop. You could do a showcase. You could put together a college fair. So many things that you could do around now that ability to engage with these institutions on a grander scale. Now, I'll touch on it earlier with the resorts. You have Atlantis literally being booked out for these sorts of events. Now, Bahama jumping in the last 2 years doing the exact same thing. Now, if you just think about it, now I'll talk about the calendar. You have after Battle for Atlantis, we used to have the LPGA tournament. I think it was Pure Sack, and then we had, I think Bahama does a tournament as well.
Yeah. So there's also college golf that comes on. The sports.
That's what I'm
tourism
saying.
calendar is
So
full.
if you look at it, there's so much potential for you to build programs around that, and not just allow these big resorts like Bahama and Atlantis to have all the fun. You could kind of move that. I call it over the hill. A lot of people call it the inner city. You can move it into these environments. You have places like NAGB, the National Art Gallery. You have a couple of the museums. These are places that could put on special events during this time. Right across from NAGB, you have the Inner Bowl that they call it, where they put on street performances and stuff. Things like that could be done during the evening time when the games aren't going on to allow these people now to move closer into our culture. We have John Canoe that's coming up. You could do an event around a John Canoe practice. There's so many linkages that you can make throughout the community to give these persons things to do that would then, hey, they came here for the tournament, but now they see what the culture of Bahamas has to offer. So now you have somebody saying, well, hey, I'm here in November. I don't have anything to do around the holidays. Let me just bounce right back to enjoy Boxing Day or New Year's Day John Canoe.
So what we should do then is we should start going back in our archives and find old photos and make like a little history thing during the Baja Mar Hoops event. So when the tourists do come, they could actually see a potential. This is a BJ Edgecombe when he was playing XYZ, and just show up, when all of them, surprisingly, all of them have been home during high school.
Right.
So we have that opportunity to be able to show, like, this is one of our greats playing XYZ. This maybe was a picture of when XYZ won a championship and they scored this much, just to give a little brief history. So we'll work on that next year, and we'll have we need a sponsor to be able to pay for the stuff. So we can then show the people. Carter, you can give me your number. Yeah. You can show the people this is the history, the evolution of basketball in the Bahamas.
Because I feel like we're missing the mark still. I feel like there's still so much that can be, because a lot of people, I don't want to take us back to the conversation we had a few weeks ago about who takes the bulk of the responsibility for being aware of what's happening. But I think there's a lot to be done in terms of establishing excitement for these to get locals involved, first of all.
Yeah.
Right? And so the closest that came to that is how many people came out to watch Coach Yo. And Coach Yo does a fantastic job. She brought her program down here 3 years in a row. Right. Which is crazy when you think about it.
This is why I keep saying, from a tourism perspective, we put the statistical category up there that says heads in beds, meaning the amount of people we got into these hotels. We could take that same metric and put it on our cultural experiences. We can put that same experience into our mom and pop shops over the hill. So imagine Portuguese Dock, right over the bridge from Paradise Island. What is the amount of new income generated on Portuguese Dock the evenings after Battle for Atlantis, or the mornings before Pure Silk? No, what I'm trying to say, that is the level of expertise that we need to start putting into these categories, because what you do is you take the money that is just generated over Atlantis. I'm not trying to take money out of Atlantis' pockets.
You can't.
But what I'm trying to say is, this is our opportunity now to show these people that the Bahamas is a lot more than just those two resorts.
But even outside of that, I need it to impact the actual sport. I need you to have a connection and impact the actual sport that's here. So if you come down here and you host a basketball tournament, you should be thinking of ways of how am I going to positively impact the local basketball community.
But,
if I'm hosting American football, how am I impacting the football community? Same with soccer,
again,
same
now,
with golf, all of that.
That's what I'm saying. You need that level of expertise in those critical spaces. So the same way Atlantis has a team of people that's just trying to figure out, hey, we have this many people in the resort. We need them to spend money at all of these different places. What do we need to do to improve these spaces to allow for that to happen? That's the same thing we need to be saying in culture. We have access to all of these persons. What is now the way that we can go ahead and attract them to come and engage, attract them and come to spend money, to do all of these things in our community?
I do know that most of these basketball teams now, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of them, they do host a basketball camp depending on the time of year, depending on the team it is. I know yesterday UConn hosted a camp at Baja Mar. So they had, I don't know, it was around like 50 kids out there. Like, that's a positive step to that, to be able to show, like, these are people who are playing at pretty much the highest level of college. Most of them are going to be going to the WNBA because UConn is just a factory and that's all they know how to do. But that's a step. And I know in the summers, the teams come and they always do camps, but it's almost like we got to evolve out of that to get more. Like, everyone coming and doing the same thing over and over, the repetition, it's great. Don't get me wrong. We love it. It's great. It shows this, but the end goal is, what is it? You come down, you
the
do
environment. The environment is too, for lack of a better word, it's too loose. What you have is a system right now where everybody comes and they do their camp, but there's no case that, hey, this is what we want to get out of this camp. This is not only the notoriety we want to get, this is the experience we want to get for our kids. These are the environments or the communities that we want to basically touch with this. There's no system that dictates that. So if you go to, I hate to keep knocking on the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, but if you go to the Ministry of Sports right now, or the Department of Sports,
job.
right? If you go there right now, where's the statistics that say, hey, this is how many students were impacted this week by this camp? These are where those students come from. These are the reasons these students were selected. That's the kind of support, that's the kind of development that we need in those key areas.
But I'm going to go back to the...
We would know,
spoiled.
Cardo. They don't really shop with us.
No, but
we get more love from people coming here than the people that are actually here signing the checks.
Yeah, but see, again, that can all be taken back to the point. You get more love from people coming in because they understand that
they know
is
the value.
It's a structure there. There's a system that works. We realize that they're tapped into the market from a media standpoint. That is why we go there. Why aren't they saying, hey, we need to tap in from a social development aspect?
Ain't no long talks.
None at all. Because I think the organizers of these events do local community, like I mentioned, bringing down a coach. Yo, this is the second year in a row VJ has come down here to play, once in high school and now his freshman, probably only season at Baylor. These are incredible things that have happened. We've seen Bahamians play. Buddy played at Battle for Atlantis. We've seen Tum. We've seen several Bahamians play Battle for Atlantis.
Frederick
and
came over
Bahama
this summer.
Hoops. But I also don't think that when these things happen, there's not a huge tie-in from the local community.
Because you have to look at it from this standpoint. You've seen a Battle for Atlantis from its inception up to now. How much work goes in on the ground by the support staff at Atlantis to pull such an event off?
Tons.
Where's that level of communication with the Department of Sports or the Department of Culture or the entire Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture? Where's that level of communication to say, hey, this is from a local perspective the buy-in we need? That does not happen. So that's where the ball is dropped because there's nothing to translate. I always go back to the situation when we went to see Buddy's first game in New Orleans. If you look at this...
Shout out my boy, Petty LeFleur.
If you go back and you look at the machine that was on the ground in New Orleans during that, because they had a New Orleans synchronism from a community standpoint. Hey, this is the NBA tip-off week. All of these...
I'll explain to you right now why it don't happen.
Go ahead.
What was the Bahamian machine on the ground to see Buddy play his first game? Historic moment. Us. That was it. It was us. It was us three in this room. That was it.
But see, again, that's why I keep saying, and I'm not trying to get on them in any which way, because, all right, let me be fair. Improvements need to be made. When you see a system
and I don't
like
think there's anything wrong with saying that.
It's quite clear that there is, because there's been no improvement. How long has Buddy been in the league?
Boy.
Well, no, one of the funniest, going back to Buddy League, remember when what was it? They spent the money to advertise, and they didn't have a no trade clause in it, and they had to do it for like 2-3 years.
You have to explain that in Bahamian is.
Okay, so when Buddy was, as everyone should know, Buddy was drafted. He was in New Orleans. Portion of
For
his
life.
first portion of his career. I think there was was it tourism?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Ministry of Tourism did an advertising agreement at the
Stadium.
Smoothie King
Yeah.
Center. Yes, to advertise the Bahamas the same way it's done at Hard Rock Stadium for the Dolphins. Same thing. It's Kaseya Center. I went to a couple of things that happened there with the Miami Heat, so they did the same thing there. And Buddy spent like a year.
It was a little different because it was.
Buddy spent half a year in New Orleans. Yeah.
It was different because it was an actual banner up there for the entire season.
So we just got a text message it. Now I'm going to direct it straight to you because I know how you go. Do you guys think the stadium will be ready for Bahamas Bowl in January, given the fact of all the repairs going on?
For very personal reasons, I say absolutely the stadium is going to be ready in January for the Bahamas Bowl. There's been commitments made at the very top of the chain of command in this country that the game is going to happen. There are certain things that have moved forward with the blessing of very decision making. So I can sit here with confidence and say that yes, it's going to be ready.
Yeah. Well, what else I gotta add?
No, why look at you like that, John? Because now I was trying his hardest to be so politically correct with it, given all the difficulties we see at that stadium right now.
Listen.
Look, there's gonna be a field. There's gonna be locker room,
I say it could be the prettiest.
and it could work.
I'm saying, will it be up to regulation and ready to play? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But see, substantially, this brings us back to the issue we were just talking about. Where is the actual system in place that dictates that these level of things are not only communicated, but it actually happens?
Let me tell you what we good at, right? You know, like when
Don't say we. Specify the government agency responsible.
I mean, we as Bahamians, this is what we are good at. Specifically men. I'm going to talk about men for a minute. You know, like how, let's say it's a Friday evening and you have company coming over. You know how quickly you clean your apartment or clean your house just for the specific purpose of you have company to entertain? We've all done it. You're mine, you've done it.
Did you not?
That is what we do as a country. You remember what it was like before World Relays?
Exactly.
You saw what we made that look like? And that was only for a split second, 2 days. Y'all run a lot. Looks really good.
No, in all fairness, I was
and
there
then
both
right,
nights.
And then right after that,
Right.
all
Right.
renovations
I was there both
started,
nights,
right?
and I was like, I got to say a bad word just now, but I was like, I don't know where we pull this up.
Right. So you don't think we about to pull that up? We like looking good in front of company. And that is what's going to happen
It's probably our
for the
colonial
Bahamas
past.
Bowl.
New year, new stadium.
Yeah, but the text to follow up, have you seen the stadium?
I've seen the work being done in the stadium.
I'm very confident in our Bahamian and Chinese counterparts.
I'm very confident in our Bahamian and Chinese counterparts.
Again, that goes to the issue. Like you said, we like to put on a good show for people coming in. I just don't understand why that can't translate for us keeping the show on long term.
You know,
We cram for exams all the time. Right before Carifta swimming, that pool was unswimmable. There was no water. There was nothing. I
And what
feel like we
happened?
fixed it several days before, but we got it done.
Exactly
you
6.
forget Kendall Isaac
We got it done.
had a leak in the ceiling.
This is what happens. See, if you want us to be proactive and have things done a month or two out, yes,
Rob
I
Group.
agree. That
Rob
should
Group.
happen. That ain't gonna happen. But I'll tell you what, people could be up working all night the night before kickoff, and the stadium's gonna be ready.
Shout out to my
But
people
how
at
does that
NSA.
how does that lead to the lack of development around that sport? Particularly, we've had the Bahama Bowl. I remember Popeyes; they were the
first ones,
initial
yeah.
sponsors. We've seen now Popeyes use that as a branding exercise to prop them up. They have location after location after location now, and still the actual game itself has not really gone over well in the community.
Just a side note, I feel like there's another fried chicken company that's like missing the opportunity to do something.
I would have taken it.
Well, I want him to say the name.
I feel like a local fried chicken company should do it. But so yes, this goes back to what we talked about at the very top of the segment: the connection between what happens with and what happens locally. So we have personally tried to go on an undertaking trying to actually generate support, not support, but generate interest in the games, because people in the Bahamas don't really have a strong college football following unless you're really tapped into it, right? So you got to learn a bit about these teams or the possible teams that could be coming here before, so you can know a bit of something, know what you're going to watch, just not I'm going to randomly watch football, because the tie into college football in the U.S., as you can see, that taps into people's identity. If you are from Ohio State means something different from you. If you are from Michigan, that's going to mean something.
Alabama?
Yeah, any place like that, any one of those major programs is going to mean something different for you. We're not going to have that, but if we generate interest in the sport or in these programs themselves, then maybe you get people to come out. But another thing we do have to do is that has to have some kind of connection with what we do here locally in terms of playing football. No, we won't have contact football, but flag football is huge in this country, from the youth development age to the adults. And I think we got to bridge the gap between those two. That's the only way that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nobody? All right, cool.
No, I was just seeing that the Bahamas Bowl updates came out, because pretty much any day now, they'll be saying which teams are coming to the Bahamas Bowl.
So what did we learn from What's the Lead? What, and your quickest synopsis of how do we do this? Carter's made it very apparent that it has to be the local side doing a greater job.
It's the only way. It's the reason when any major competition happens, what's the first thing you hear? The local organizing committee.
They love a local organizing committee.
It's the reason
Bro, we got so much LOCs.
It's the reason it exists.
I can't believe we don't have an LOC for this show.
We probably need
LOC
no,
for
but
this show.
That's the reason that vernacular exists. You need that sort of development. You need the boots on the ground to make things
have like
that.
15 people on them.
But it never translates into substantial differences to the actual growth and the development of the sports discipline that they're assembled to create. Like, I give all credit to B3As and all of them during the Olympic times, during Carifta. To your point, it's slow, it's steady, but they get to the point that they need to. But when it comes to these major events, and I think you summed it up really, really well.
Thanks, man.
It's like young Vietnam dudes. Like, we do everything, and when you get that tax, you gotta put.
We can make it look good.
Exactly.
Make it look good.
Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Awesome callback, Sean. Awesome callback. All right, that'll do it. This is halftime. When we come back, we will talk Buddy reaching another milestone in the NBA. We're gonna talk some NFL and anything else we left out locally. You're listening to The Accredited, powered by 10th Year Seniors on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Are you a business owner or HR professional? RF's team of pension specialists are here to empower your employees with market-leading retirement solutions and to make implementing group pensions easy and cost-effective. With RF, starting or switching your company pension plan is a breeze, and there are no setup fees. If you're looking for strong investment performance and low fees, visit rfgroup.com/empower and empower your team to retire comfortably with RF Group Pensions today. That's rfgroup.com/empower.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood. We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too? Of course we can. But we could be in deep trouble if they find out. We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami. So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles. Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. And then our house price will go up, gal. So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank, Bank the way you want.
Always on the go? Missed a show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
Get ready, Nassau. Bahamas Liquidation and Auction Center is back with our annual 3 days of blackout. Mark your calendars for November 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's 3 days of unbelievable deals right here at home. We're bringing you thousands of items from Amazon, Home Depot, and Walmart. Everything at their online listed prices. Bring your phone and Google it. Experience the U.S. prices right here in Nassau. Call us at 698-0123 or WhatsApp 557-2522. Meet us on Mackey Street. Don't miss out. See you there for 3 days of total blackout deals.
You do coffee your way. Double shot decaf, cappuccino.
Light roast, Colombian, no milk.
You do vacations your way.
Hiking boots, tent, mountains.
5-star hotels and theater.
And now you can do insurance your way.
Online.
Email.
Chat.
WhatsApp.
Or in branch. For home, car, travel, boat, or business insurance, do it anyway with NUA Insurance Agents and Brokers. Visit NUAinsurance.com, call, or stop by a branch today.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
So just go to Sun. Did you
hit
get
it
the point?
perfectly. Yes, at the exact same time.
We relayed the point.
Yes.
All right, so the point was relayed.
Mm.
So now we're back.
So
Now we're
you want to
officially
just
back?
continue the conversation?
Yeah, but we have to do the rejoin.
Go ahead.
Allow me to drive. All right. Welcome back to the Accredited here on Guardian Radio 96.9, powered by 10th year seniors. I'm Ronaldo, and I feel like if you did not have cheesecake on Thanksgiving, what are you doing with your life?
I'm Ricardo, and when did cheesecake become like a Thanksgiving thing?
When did it not?
And I'm John Markin. Apple pie and vanilla ice cream.
Okay. None of those.
And this is why we didn't do it again. We did it once. We never brought it back. This is why we have to host the annual. Well, it ain't annual. This is why we have to host the once in a while when we remember to do it.
We should do it for Christmas because cheesecake
We
is
absolutely are going to do it for
cheesecake
Christmas.
is a Christmas like
This
dessert.
This is all one thing. It's
Okay.
not just. There's no line of demarcation between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's all holidays.
I feel like now Bahamian is even like prepared a turkey different. In fact, we gotta have a problem because Thanksgiving becoming too big of a holiday in the Bahamas.
No, we should take it. We should make it a holiday because
It's-
people are
it's-
trying to take
Wait,
it
we
as-
do everything else American. What are you
Yeah.
talking
right,
about?
but what I'm trying to say is
Except
now
for
like
the Second Amendment.
anyway. But no, I'm just trying to figure out.
I
like,
agree. It should be a holiday.
Turkey is almost like it used to be exclusively for Christmas. Then we started to adopt the.
When was that? I don't
Yeah,
know when.
I
that
feel
was.
like in
I
my
don't
lifetime,
know.
like you had
That's,
like a little lunch, or like a light dinner for Thanksgiving. Now it's like a full-on
Never.
spread.
Ever since football, but
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I think chicken is more appropriate on both days.
Okay, I disagree.
What?
All
Okay,
right.
see.
But if you want to join the conversation, phone lines are
even
open.
if you want to join the conversation about this, because this could get us throughout the entire half hour. Go ahead.
Phone lines are open 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. You can reach us toll free at 5720. Text line is also open 422-GR96. That's 422-4796. Now, before we went to the break, we got a couple of text messages that were problematic. A lot of people calling us out for being soft on the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. So I just wanted to bring that conversation back. I don't want anybody to feel left out. John has taken the stance that we don't want to necessarily get into the space of politics and sports. It's more so the development. So
No, I don't know. Wait, hold on. No, I don't think that's exactly what it is. I think it's more so of, okay, from his perspective, when he said that, literally, I feel like the entire talk show space in the Bahamas is...
Politics?
No, I laugh because I call all of them GGDS shows. Everybody comes on in front of a mic and says government got to do something.
Right.
That's literally all it is.
Right.
It's just government got to do something, right? I feel like not enough people place accountability on the people themselves. Like some of those people are right. Yes, if the government has the budget, the government has the oversight, your ministry has a specific mandate to do things, you always have to do more. I feel like those are very easy conversations to have, and anybody could just do that, and anybody could just say that. Yes, I feel like the Ministry of Sports needs to be doing more, especially in terms of sports tourism, in terms of local development. I feel like you need to have more decision makers that actually know about what's happening, and people from different generations that could tap into reach people.
Right.
I don't think any of that is happening. But if we just sit there and say that all the time, then it's not as entertaining.
So to keep it fair to the text that we got in, or the texts that we got in this instance, it's not so much so we don't see the issue is recognized. The issue is Department of Sports, the Department of Culture, the Ministry of Tourism, the entire Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. These are all vital parties that play a role in sports tourism in the Bahamas. I think when Danny Johnson was around, it was Sports in Paradise.
Sports in Paradise?
What's in Paradise?
So when we see,
great press conferences.
when we see these dynamics at play, there is so much to be brought into question. There are so much things that needs to be analyzed. But I think all of us around the table right now, we all agree. We know what the problem is. We quite understand how things need to be moved forward. There are some things that need to be changed. There's some people that need to be brought to the table, but we understand the problems. And I think moving forward, what we want to do is not bash government, but understand that we as voices in this community, we play a vital role in how these things move forward. We've been at the forefront of the development of high school players transitioning to college, and now with Buddy and Jazz moving into the professional leagues. So we've seen this. We've seen all of the effort and the work that goes into it. So we understand how we need to navigate these spaces to get a proper end result.
Yeah, I mean, look, what is saying we all know what the problem is, even that, I'm not so sure with that. I don't think everyone knows what the problem is. I think if you ask the average person, what do they think the responsibility of the ministry is in terms of, well, shoot, I'll just ask y'all, what do we think the responsibility of the ministry is in terms of local sports development? What do we think their role is in what the conversation we were having, bridging the gap between sports tourism and local development? What's their role to play in that?
So the exact text that brought all this up was, where's the communication between the Department of Sports and sports tourism?
Right.
Is there still a venture, or is there still a department called sports tourism? Is there still some avenue of communication between those two arms of government? Where's the breakdown?
If I'm not, tourism is in the Ministry of Tourism department.
It's always been a joint venture, I think. But yes, the sports tourism part has been in the Ministry of Tourism. I know that came under that portfolio, but it has the word sports in it. Like, there's no doing that without the Ministry of Sports. Like, that's something that has to happen. But I don't know. What do we think their role is?
I'm going to keep it 100% frank with you. I don't think they have a mandate. And I think that's the core issue here. I think when you look at resorts like Atlantis and Bahama, and this is why I brought it up earlier, they have a mandate. The mandate is to get heads in beds. The vehicle that they're doing that by is Battle for Atlantis, in the case of Atlantis, and Bahama Hoops in the case of Bahama. What they're using that as is a venue to get persons to say, hey, I'm going to be at the resort for at least 4 days that week to see this tournament. So I'm going to stay at the Bahama Resort or Atlantis Resort. I don't think sports tourism or the Ministry of Tourism or the Department of Sports, they have that concept in mind. What is it that we want to grasp? What is it that we want to capture with these events? And that's where the breakdown is. Fundamentally, that's the core issue. So that's why we see things like you said before you went to break. That's why you see these rush to get things ready at conversation year round. There's no vehicle that says, hey, we want to host these 5 events at Kendall Geologics Gym. This is what we need to do to get the gym ready to host these events. That's our project moving forward for the next 2 years. It's none of that. So you just have things, somebody said they want to do a basketball tournament here. All right, let's see what we can do to make it happen.
It's lots of junk in the rush out. So.
Yeah. But one thing that I feel in the past administrations or whatever it is, high school nationals to me was one of those things that we always spoke about before the fact, because there always used to be Hugh Campbell. Everyone said Hugh Campbell this, Hugh Campbell that, and then some schools don't participate in Hugh Campbell, happen to be red. But it's something where we had it.
You mean sock?
Yeah, it's something where we had it, and then I understand COVID came, and then it just got wiped off. And it's like, that should never happen if you started something that was a high school national.
How do you not have a high school national championship?
Again, that's a
in a sport as prominent as basketball in this country.
That's a conversation that should be driven by the Ministry of Youth. There should be no
I thought you were saying
negotiation.
it had to be driven by us.
No, there should be no conversation around that. A sport as prominent as basketball.
'Cause I wanna talk
there
about
should be a
cheesecake.
fundamental plan as to how we get to our national.
You pay money and you host it. Like there's no grand scheme that comes into this.
Clearly,
you just
clearly
do it.
there is no. So if it's just a system of just doing it, why hasn't it been done?
I guess you got the wrong people deciding who does it, or the wrong people figuring out how to do it.
Well, I know and this is where all the interwebbings happen. If I feel like, and sometimes you gotta, like you say, you gotta eliminate the whole thing and just do one thing. Ministry of High School Nationals.
Right.
Then that goes to Ministry of Education, Ministry of Youth Sports and Culture. And if you really want to think about it, if you host it in Grand Bahama, you could bring in Ministry of Tourism because it's local tourism that you're still bringing, because it's still heads and beds in Grand Bahama is the same as heads and beds in Nassau, and it's a part of the local tourism stuff. So you have to have all those three departments talking to each other, because we know tourism has a budget, Ministry of Youth Sports and Culture has a budget, Ministry of Education has a budget, right? How is it that we were having this event and then all of a sudden it's just lost, like we don't have the budget no more?
So that's why I'm saying to Niall, he thinks it's not a grand scheme of but that's clearly what needs to happen. The conversation has been broken somewhere. Clearly, it's not happening anymore.
It's not a grand scheme. It's not being done because they don't want to do it.
Why?
I don't know. I don't work for them. I would like to. If I work for them, I would like to figure that out. I would be doing it. It has to be because they don't want to do it. What could possibly be the other reason?
But there are ways that, and this is one thing I feel like some of the departments could do. You can get people who are actually in the industry.
Wonderful idea.
To be able to help say, hey, we may not be able to push XYZ or do XYZ, but we can guide you in a way to say, hey, this could be a potential plan. Like, okay, high school nationals, right? So what is it? It's always Grand Bahama, Nassau, you got an Abigail team, you get Bimini.
You sound like you're talking about consultant. I would consultant this.
Consultative. So
all the way.
The thing is, they always talk about, oh, it's expensive. All right, so here's what you can do. You could have Grand Bahama teams play Grand Bahama teams, right? You could have Nassau teams in this city, right? And then you can get Bimini or an Abaco, cross one place. So you only send in two teams. And then when you get the Final Four, you could move them to a site. You could have them play in South Andros' new arena, right? You could have them play here. So you could make it into an event. Like the NCAA doesn't say, hey, we're having our tournament. Every game's going to be in one spot for the whole time.
So, Shaw, what you saying is they need a local organizing committee.
Oh my God. Wait, it always comes back to an LOC. But how effective is your LOC? We just sitting there collecting checks, or like we actually getting something?
An LOC is the part where you have to get after you can come up with the proper idea.
Yeah.
You gotta have the ideas, and you have to have the real conversation. Say, okay, let's look at the budget X, Y, Z. What do we have? How can we make this budget work?
I've seen some LOCs that have absolutely no connection to the sport that they LOCing for, and have no idea about anything that they actually do it. So if we're gonna talk LOC, then it has to actually be one that is effective and one that is actually tapped into what their platform is.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And what's mind-boggling and troubling about this all at the same time is the fact that you're coming off such a big week. You're coming off the Thanksgiving week.
Huge week.
And you have this small period cut out where the world focuses on the Bahamas for all of these tournaments and events. But locally,
Since last week.
Do we know how big of a star Coach Yo is in America?
The prime time, or I shouldn't call it the prime time slot. 5 to 7 yesterday on ESPN was dominated by Atlantis content. Where was the Bahamian content?
Do we know how big of a star VJ Edgecombe is and how big he is about to be?
And how we live in a time, we live in a space where brand power is so essential to everything that we do.
I want y'all to think about this.
Thinking.
There are people in Oxford, Mississippi. There are thousands of people, tens of thousands, in Oxford, Mississippi, that wear shirts that say 242. This is Oxford, Mississippi. And everything that comes along with that. That's the kind of brand power that this woman has.
Yeah.
That's what she's brought here to us.
Yeah.
Do we recognize that?
I think we do. The problem is the conversation doesn't leave this room. and moves to the other spaces.
It absolutely does be on the airways of Guardian Radio
What I mean to say,
96.9.
it doesn't move
It's
into
reaching
this,
hundreds of thousands.
it
Millions
does not
that listen
move,
online.
It does not move into the spaces and impact the decisions that it needs to, and that's clearly the issue.
So what y'all charge for consultancy fees? Because
At this point, it's not even about consulting.
I thought you were gonna say about fees.
I was gonna say it's about both of those because I mean I feel like we could bring nationals back, by the way, fairly easily. I feel like us three in the room could bring nationals back.
Do we need to make shirts?
I'd make
Make
sure.
nationals great again. Make nationals great again. Let's just start there. That's a calling card this week.
Put it on Truth Social.
We want to make nationals great again. we have a handle on Truth Social. We could definitely get it out there, or we could start the handle right from our 10 Myers page on Facebook. We want to make nationals great again. If you have an idea, if you have a concept,
We just want it to happen. Yeah. like, that's what I'm saying. We just want it to happen.
Like, okay.
I ain't even concerned about if it that great again. I just feel like it should happen.
I feel like people don't know this about nationals to a point, but all right. So we were contracted to do nationals, right?
Yeah.
explain the contract, please.
Yeah,
we ain't the
no.
barbers. We ain't getting
we were-
contract to put it together.
We were contracted to broadcast a 8 p.m. game every day for nationals, right? But we were like, hey, we need to do more. So even though we were there,
Hi, caller. Can you ask? Okay, we lost the call. Go ahead.
anyways,
Weird voice that caller has.
we were contracted to do the video production so the Bahamas could see what it is. Grand Bahama, Nassau, it's the other family islands that are interested in seeing it too. But we made it a mandate for us, even though we're there, hey, we're gonna broadcast as many games as we can throughout the day. So if games start at 11, we tried to broadcast on our local platform
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
All right.
From the space we were in. Now, granted, yes, we were contracted to do the 8 p.m. game. So literally from 11 to 7:59, all that was pro bono. And people don't realize that. People just assume that you're getting.
No, it's the same
you-
thing. It's
know-
been the same thing
Hold on,
with.
Carter, before you take off. And you know what? You know why we did that?
Call
Because-
if you want to get back on. Just you can shoot us in now. We got the phone lines working. So call back.
You know why we did that? Because we grew up in an era where the only high school basketball game you watched was that Hugh Campbell final in ZNS. That was it.
Boy,
That was all we had. But we grew up in the digital era where ESPN meant more to us than anything else. The mixtape culture online meant more to us than anything else. So
Yeah.
when we started 10YS, we said we need to do the same thing with this generation of young hoopers. So the ones that when we started, you got them playing pro right now. And a lot of that, I'm not saying that is strictly because of us, but we wanted to create a culture where, yeah, you don't have to wait until this one game to see that. You could feel like a star with your local high school games pretty much on a week-to-week basis.
but see, and a lot of people listening in don't understand the fact that we've been through to try and broadcast more. We've had the conversation to do more high school basketball games. We've had the conversation to do more high school softball games.
And that's why I'm saying it ain't no grand scheme. It's so easy to be done because me and John just walked into a gym. We didn't ask permission. We just walked in and said, yeah, we're going to film this and then put this up. So if we could do that, out of John's upon me, government agencies with the disposal of the treasury can't do it.
You got to remember, so Summer of Thunder used to be my test every year of like doing something. I remember I found a piece of equipment online. I said, oh, I got to buy this, whatever. Bought it. It worked. And I remember the first high school game. It was an Anatole Rogers game. Azar Roker and Dominic Bridgewater.
That man could have
playing.
dunked.
Boy. And I remember we broadcast the game. You know, I just go on. I had a little scoreboard. No timer on the scoreboard now. Just a scoreboard.
Yeah.
Just
Real mom and pop
just
operation.
pop, one camera, putting it on, and everyone started tuning in. Everyone, and then people don't realize that this is a Bahamian mindset they have to get out the way. If you broadcast a game, it doesn't mean you're not going to make money. You're more likely to make more money because people will then try to come up because they see
John.
the product.
John, they weren't making money to start with.
No.
This is not a money-making issue. This is not... Like, what I'm trying to say to you, if you play the game at Anatole, if you play the game at AF Adley, if you play the game at CI Gibson, you have a limited amount of seats.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the majority of your audience are people those are the people that is going to move the sport forward. So if you present it...
5 p.m. on a Friday, who making it? The teams barely make it on time.
This is the troubling part. And again, it brings us back to the system conversation because the amount of effort that you could put into these spaces to ensure that these things are not only organized, shout out to the LOC name again, put a committee together.
We can start calling this the LOC.
Put the
Are we
LOC
allowed
segment.
to change our name?
No, it's still accredited, but we're going to have an LOC segment. Put the committee together to say, hey, this is the structure we need to have in place to organize. We're going to start off with nationals again. Organize our basketball championship. These are the steps that we want to take. We want to ensure the teams from the Family Islands are involved, the teams from Grand Bahama are involved, the teams from Abaco.
We went to Grand Bahama one year to get their championship, but the championship isn't worth as much as the tip-off, which is weird. Anyways, but
their basketball culture is so strong. Their tip-off classic means a lot.
Means more than their actual regular season championship. If you win the tip-off classic, you win the championship off the rip.
Love Grand Bahama basketball.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter after that.
And all
but it's
things
just
Grand
like,
Bahama.
but we could vouch for we do BAISS playoffs and championship because it's in Kendall Isaacs, right? We're not going to go outdoor and take the equipment outdoor because if something happens, y'all ain't paying for it. Let's just be real. Right?
Chad, you gotta say it like that. We try to be supportive here.
Yeah, I understand, but we still do the work
Yeah.
when it comes to Kendall Isaacs because, if it rain, you ain't got to worry about your equipment getting damaged. But we always broadcast BAISS.
We could do the whole basketball outside.
They should be going
in
indoor.
2024.
But
Island 7 by 21. I don't understand. If you determine that, hey, game started today at 4.
Yeah.
You give them a full hour.
The sun
they
down.
can leave school any which way by 2:30. Get them to Kennedy G. Isaacs, and you can play at least 3
y'all
games.
ain't even
Yeah.
doing nothing in your last period. Everything good.
But I could vouch for that the numbers that you get from that are crazy.
Last 5 minutes, guys. I want to get to. I want us to wrap up every show with what did we learn today.
Go ahead.
That's the number one thing I want us to take away from this because it forces us to recap everything that we did, and I actually want us to glean something from these conversations. So, Kato, what did you learn today?
Dwight liked the text. So, in addition to Dwight texting, the biggest thing that came out of this is the fact that the voices do exist that can make the difference. We've just opted not to listen.
Speak truth to power. You know what I learned today? I learned that we can talk ourselves into galvanizing a movement, and I feel like we did it over the course of this show. I feel like we need to bring nationals back.
So we go bring nationals back. We go make nationals great again.
We're working on the name, all right? It's a work in progress. But I feel like coming out of this conversation, because when we think about it, right, and me and John showed the clip to VJ when we were interviewing him, we're the only people that have that. People first learned about what VJ Edgecombe could become with him playing at nationals. There's not another forum for him to be on the national stage playing at Gateway and Bimini other than at that tournament. I feel like that's something you gotta have. If you have it in track and field, you should have it in something that's as prominent as basketball. So I feel like we just talked ourselves into it. We got a job, guys.
No disrespect to track and field, but track and field is a time-based thing. So once you hit a time, you know what they can do. Or a jump, you know what they can do. But basketball is an actual, like if you were me and you could have seen VJ at that age, you would have known he would have been a good player.
even go back to
But you need stuff like that.
Please let him get that out. Because
You need stuff like that in basketball, in soccer, in these other sports where you can see tendencies.
the other ones are still there, right? Volleyball nationals is still there.
But the point I was gonna make,
Everything
John,
held in Nassau is still there.
Why did basketball nationals disappear?
but the point I was gonna make, John, the reason the times are communicated or somewhere that you could go back to is somebody decided that no, this is very important for us to document, for us to later come back to compare. That doesn't exist. Who was the leading scorer in GSSSA last year from a basketball perspective?
Deshaun Butler.
BISS.
Senior boys?
Raymond Woods.
Did they even?
No.
Evan Carter?
Regent Smith.
Yeah.
Now I get one more. Who was the hit champion for BISS last year? High school girls. Take any of those questions on Monday to
QC won last year, right?
the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture.
Who was the best player on SOC last year?
Or QC.
You'd have to get so.
I got a message to Shay. Hold on.
But nah, take all of those conversations to the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture as a parent, as anybody that wants to see their kid develop to grow.
this is also a part of the reason why we started doing what we're doing.
This-
so,
this-
like, in the first column, that was one of the mandates. It was like, no, we got to establish some sort of a database. Because I remember, like, sitting at the Tribune and writing and having people come home from school saying, hey, I need clips to help me, to help me get a scholarship, to help me get recruited. And this is me coming from working in the recruitment department at the University of Kentucky, watching how they do things, and I was like, I feel bad for y'all because ain't nobody doing this in newspapers anymore.
But that's the
like y'all ain't getting recruited by
Nationals
this. That's
mandate,
not going to work.
Nationals mandate and a statistic database, because they always talk about how could we get people with jobs coming in. That's jobs right there that you can give people to record high school staff.
I just say it. I feel like they got the bodies over there. Sure. I feel like they got 1 or 2 extra people sitting down.
But you could even teach high school kids, because you also got to remember, if we have people a lot of people who come to 10YS have jobs in media, because it's a learning curve that you have to do. So some of these people want to be
I just learned how to do something new yesterday.
Yeah, but some of these people want to, be a team manager, or they want to be an actual, live coding during the game. No stats, no plays, no this, no that, whatever. You can get younger people to start doing these things because their career, nothing wrong with being a plumber. You don't have to always be like, hey, I need to be a doctor and go to school and do X, Y, Z. We far from being doctors.
Being MP, they the rock stars, right?
Boy, but the thing is,
Or you could be a police officer. So much promise there.
yeah,
I like going away. I know what you're talking about.
Private jets are always the best.
I never been on one.
I have.
John, what did you learn today?
I learned that I gotta go to work.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing every time you send it to him. And John will just drop a dead fish right on the table.
Boom.
Anyway, so we figured it out, guys. We're bringing Nationals back.
Oh yeah, I learned we're bringing Nationals back.
He ain't listening to nothing I say.
He's sticking to the deal.
He was in his phone the entire time when I went on that whole tangent about us bringing Nationals back. And then he popped in and didn't listen to any of that. Better than cool. That's what we're here for.
The stadium will be ready.
The stadium will absolutely
We
be ready.
learned that a long time
Boy, I
ago.
hope so. That'll do it for this episode of The Accredited, powered by 10th year seniors on Guardian Radio 96.9. This is your LOC of sports. Tap in with us.